Welcome to the Soul Driven Podcast. I believe that when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits. If you are searching for meaning and purpose, if you are unsure about how to combine the spiritual with the everyday, if you are ready to uncover who you truly are, then you've come to the right place. The Soul Driven Podcast is dedicated to exploring the intersection of living a soulful and spiritual life in a driven and ambitious world. Join me for practical guidance, truthful discussions, and interviews with people who are successfully living a soul-driven life. My name is Anna Hendricks, spiritual guide, marketer, and your host. Thank you for being here. Welcome back, folks, to another What Is Up monthly Akashic forecast. Yes, what is up, June? Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being here, whether you are an avid listener of this beautiful podcast or brand new. Welcome. Thank you. I'm pumped to dive into June. Not only because new month, new start, new whatever, but like we are legit halfway through this year, which is insanity to me. Yeah, it's just flying by. And I was having this moment the other day where I was like anxious, having trouble breathing because I'm like, wait a minute, have I been doing all that I wanted to do this year? And I don't know about you, but this year has been so much about sacrifice already. And when I say sacrifice, like really just surrender, like surrendering to what is, letting go, understanding that I can kick and scream and say all the words, but it's not going to get me any further down the road any faster, and definitely not make my present experience any better. So, a lot of humility this year. Again, last year, 2021 was like the ultimate year of humility for me. Definitely my hardest year to date. And I mean, 2022 has been just such a different type of year. I honestly can't even compare the two. But it's been humility in a different way, in like a way that I can breathe in and accept, and tantrum still at times, because that's what we do, right? If anyone is just tooting their horn 24/7, well, I mean, I don't know, I don't know that that's a real thing. I don't think it is. I can't even imagine that. But I don't want to say it's totally false, because there might legitimately be someone out there who does toot their horn all the time, and that's just how they live life, and cool, I don't know all the things. I'm on this journey with you. I'm always learning with you, and yeah. So I'm curious to hear how the new moon in Gemini was for you, because this one laid me out flat on my rear end. I was so exhausted. I could barely move. I had brain fog, massive headache, not a lot that I could do with it, but just surrender to it. As I was just talking about, more surrender. That's what this year is about. Yeah. Anyway, so what's up, June? Oh my goodness. I'm also really curious to know, and even more so to know, how your May was, because I think for a lot of us, like the energy that kind of started kicking off in March, man, that seems so long ago now. But like yesterday at the same time, strange. Things have really shifted. And guess what? This month, it's really shifting again. So if you have finally been getting comfortable, get ready. Okay, before we dive into all things for this forecast, of course, have a couple of announcements for you. Very important. First of all, today is the last day for early bird sign up for the Confidence series, a 6-week healing journey with the Akasha. Maybe you've heard me talking about this before, maybe not. Make sure to check out the Confidence series. the podcast I shared, I think 2 episodes ago, all about it, the background story, really cool about how this all came together. But suffice it to say, if you struggle with confidence in any area in your life, this is for you. If you have been wanting to really live from a more empowered place, if you are wanting to navigate life from a place that feels whole and centered and grounded and secure for you, this is a beautiful, beautiful offering. And I would invite you to learn more about it. It will be a 6-week, again, series. We'll be meeting every Monday. And if you can't make it live, that is okay. You do not need to be there live to take this in. We're going to be diving deep on different topics every week, such as the first week, we'll be talking about relationships, specifically boundaries and how we show up. And we're going to talk about things like, do you know how to say no to someone that you love and care about? Do you know how to share your feelings authentically? Do you feel secure doing those things? Do you feel all right? How is it that you show up? Are you yourself, or do you feel like you need to be someone else? So many different things that we're going to be diving into. There's going to be discussion every week. There's also going to be utilizing the Akashic records to really help us work through these things, navigate, providing us information and how to move through these things. There's going to be a lot of time for openness and sharing. This is going to be a very interactive series, and the container of people who have already signed up for this group is so beautiful. I'm so excited. Seats are limited and they're going fast. So if this resonates with you, again, make sure to check it out. But we'll be doing different topics every week. There will also be beautiful Akashic activations that will be channeled through each week to really help us not only solidify our intention to heal and mature in these areas of our life, but also to remove fear, blocks, debris, things that are holding us back from healing in these areas. So it's definitely going to be quite the series. Recordings will be available the very next day if you aren't able to join live. So make sure to check it out. Of course, we'll have all the links in the show notes. So early bird ends today on the 1st, midnight. However, you can sign up until the 9th. That is when registration closes. And then we kick things off on the 13th. That is when the journey begins. Okay. Second thing, to celebrate summer and summertime, I am offering 10% off my Akashic readings, my Akashic Record soul readings, and my human design life readings, 10% off. Make sure to use the code summertime when you sign up. So those are my video/Zoom offerings, not any of the recorded offerings. So you'll find links to that in the show notes as well. You can check them out further. There's testimonials, there's information. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And then last announcement, every Friday, YouTube, if you love this forecast for this month, you can get these on the weekly. So every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, come join me live, hang out. If you can't, feel free to throw some comments down, questions, whatever the case may be. And yeah, it's just another way that I can support you in these times. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. First of all, I love to just kind of take a step back, look at our previous month, which is May. And again, I'm curious how May was for you. Our theme for May was a mirror to you. And it started off pretty strong. Lightning bolts coming down from every direction. Yes, lots of battle cries. Many, many, many things have happened in May, if we think about it, right? And, just this previous school shooting in Uvalde, I think is highly representative of May's theme, a mirror to you. We can really put ourselves outside of what happened and point fingers. And I so urge you not to get lost in pointing fingers and, filing into different lines of he said, she said, this, that, all of the other. We need solutions. And solutions don't happen when we're wasting our time pointing fingers. The bottom line is that we are all a part of this in one way, form, or another, simply because we're a collective, and the collective is one. Be sure to check out last Friday's episode. It's very quick. It's only, I think, 15 minutes or something like that. A very quick episode. I talked for just a couple of minutes, but then I shared the channeled message that came through the Akashic records about the mass shootings happening here in the U.S. and the Uvalde shootings. I did focus this specific reading on what is happening here in America, mainly so that I could have specifics regarding this event. Because the thing is that these sorts of topics are so multifaceted. And so when it comes to trying to explain the why or the purpose or anything like that, it's really important to stay specific. There are shootings happening all over the world in different ways and manners, but, the mainstay of my listeners are within the U.S. And so I wanted to share this. And quite frankly, whether you are American or not, there is beautiful offering even in this channeled message for you, whether or not, because you can take this subject and apply it to any subject. But what happened in Uvalde is a mirror to us. It is a mirror to our culture here in the U.S. It is a mirror to all of the decisions that we haven't made, the things we aren't doing, the things that we allow in our collective. And I don't want to get lost here, but I just thought it was a really beautiful example. And I think May has offered, just the continual examples of that, whether it is through what's happening in Ukraine. I'm not going to go into all the things, but I'm going to leave that with you. For me, May was the month that I was coming out of my all the intense tidal waves of self-doubt that I have been speaking about for the past couple of months, which really came together to birth the Confidence series, something that was divinely channeled to me. I'm so grateful to even be leading this. But May was really that kind of like transition. And it's not like I'm all healed. It's not like I'm all super confident. I don't believe that anyone ever will be, because confidence it's an emotion, and it ebbs and it flows just like all things in life. But knowing how to touch back into those places, to come back to center, to work through those areas of life, really give us the tools to be able to navigate these times in a completely different way. So, June. Okay. So if you haven't been here before, welcome. My little spiel about the Akashic records. If you'd like to dive deeper on what they are specifically, you can check the show notes. We always provide the episode. It is 41, I believe. It's a bonus episode that talks about how I came to the Akashic records, my relationship with them, a lot more about what they are. But suffice it to say that the Akashic records hold within them everything that has happened, past, present, and future. And when we access the Akashic records, we're able to see things from a soul level. And when I open the records for these monthly forecasts, I'm doing it for the listeners of the Soul Driven podcast. So whether it's your first time here or your 10th time here, it doesn't matter. It's for you. And it doesn't matter when you come to this message either. Whether it's a year down the road or the day that it goes live, there's something here for you. So I will be sharing with you the Akashic reading in just a moment. And then I will be back on the other side to talk about, ways to integrate it, perhaps how to understand it from my perspective. We'll talk about the astrology for the month ahead a little bit. But what I would suggest for you in regards to listening is to find a quiet space, put some headphones in, really allow the forecast, the reading to just wash over you. Don't feel the need, especially with this reading, to understand each and every word, because this is something that's meant to come alive. See what it is that resonates with you. See how it hits you. Sit with those things. And when it's done, jot down maybe a couple of things that are top of mind, and then come back to it throughout the month, just revisiting it. If you need to find a center, if you need to understand what's going on, if you're feeling lost, this is a beautiful way to do that for yourself. So that is how I would suggest taking this in. And again, you can learn so much more about the Akashic Records, whether from my website, annahendricks.com, links in the show notes, always, always. All right, folks, wishing you the most merriest of Junes, incredible month ahead. Stay in contact. I'm always here to help whenever I can. Much love. See you on the other side. There are hills that ride high, for there are things buried beneath them. Bones, rock, smoldering fires, warmth and depth, and so much more. Foundations have been laying. Yes, they've been making their way into the earth, even as Mother Earth continues her own awakening. The skies light up. The birds sing through the air. There is nothing that can prevent you from moving forward on this path. For it opens up to you as you look left, as you look right, as you take in all that is around you, surrounds you. The green bush, the fruit on the vine, the tickles beneath your feet. It is the feeling, the atmosphere that draws so close to you in this time, awakening you one by one. It is a tickle on your ear. It is a sound that travels its way through your mind, your skull, making its way out to the other side. It is the embers that burn within. For these embers are of the earth as you are of the earth. No, we cannot remind you enough that what it is below you and all it is that is around you, these are components of yourself. They are mirrors lit upon the directions that you go, the lights that shine so bright for you, that tell you things over and over, yet you look away. It is these roaring fires that will roll forward now. They will meet you, scorching your fingertips, lighting up your hair, causing you to want to leave, to get out, to run, to feign indifference, to pretend it all isn't happening, but it is. And the sooner that you can come to this realization, the better. For it is the waves that knock up against you, those that come around your ankles and knees, that will save you. The watery depths, the emotions of all you are. You have ran from them for so long. You have looked in other directions, always seeking to find other things, but those other things are running out, and it seems that the air is getting tighter and you cannot breathe, for the fire is making its way in, around you, around you. You feel this claustrophobia, you wish to cry out, you wish to release yourself in the midst of it, but you cannot. For you must come face to face with what is, with what has brought you to this place, with what is opening up inside of you. It is great. It is shining. It can dance upon the earth like nothing that it has ever seen before. For these are the seeds of change taking place within each and every one of you, taking place in their own movement at their own time. Yes, yes, it is this time that thunders forward, that gets beneath the very depths of you. For yes, you find yourself in human form, but that is not what you are. You are eternal. You are forever. You are something that will never end. And all that is taking place now is all that is taking place now. Do not think any more of it or any less. Do not allow yourself to become encumbered by it, strung up by its very happenings. For it calls you forth on a path that is your own. This year is breaking open as it moves forward. Prepare yourself for the days ahead, for they will crackle beneath your feet. It will be as if you are stepping on scorched earth. For you will feel its pain. And this pain you must not run from. This pain you must hold within your hand. Become oh so familiar with what is its lesson. What has it been trying to tell you for so long? What is meant to happen here? Allow yourself to let loose with it, to dive into the very depths of it. For there is nothing on this earth that is not yours. Pieces of it, elements of it, the love and the hate that you feel, the tender fear, the wayward motions, the collapse, calamity, all that is shutting down what it is that does not serve. This and so much more is what will be happening for some time. In this, and as always with this, find your place. Find your center. Find your calm. Do not give in to what wishes to seep inside of you, to put its very daggers inside of you. No, do not allow this to happen. For you must stand strong in these times, and strength is within you. You must believe this, you must know this, you must feel this, you must push yourself so that you can experience this. For this is what is true. You have come here now in these times to experience these things because you are worthy, because you have gifts, because you are needed, because there are so many. Do not allow yourself to get lost in feeling sorry for yourself or your situation. Do not play victim to all of the stories that the worldly voices would like to tell you. Rise above them. Experience your greatness. Experience your peace and calm. Fight back with your inner coolness against the flames that wish to engulf you. Know that difficult times are ahead, but through these flames, you can be reborn. You can start anew. You can begin again. You can be cleansed. You can see clearly. You can evolve. We wait with open hearts. We wait with patience for this. For you to recognize who you are. All right, just settling back in here. As I often say, whenever I listen to a reading or channel one through, whatever the case may be, it always takes me a little bit of time to come back. And I can be so loud. So I want to be chill. All right. I would love to know how this reading resonated with you. What hit home? What situations were brought up in the midst of listening to it? Where did you feel like it was speaking to you? As I mentioned before, this is a really beautiful reading to revisit throughout the month. We've got an intense month coming up. Things are really starting to shift this year into the latter part of this year. And you're going to need the tools. You're going to need the support. And, I offer support in multiple ways. You can find my blogs, my writing, things I don't share here on Medium. Definitely make sure to join my email list. Folks there get information nobody else does. My Friday, forecast readings as well. I do a number of different things as I want to support in these times. And so if you need it, reach out for it. Okay? Don't be afraid to ask for help, whether it is from myself or other people. And make sure that you are also doing the work on your end. We all have to take responsibility for ourselves in these times. And I think that, quite frankly, this month's reading really says that, right? So the theme, you can be reborn. it was interesting when I was trying to come up with this month's theme. Usually they stick out to me very clearly in the reading when I'm going back through the transcript, and it's not something I spend time thinking about. But this one was difficult. I went back and forth a couple of times with some different things, and nothing felt right. And because in this reading, it is so different, I think, than the last couple of readings. There's definitely some very specific things that they share, but then there's also, I feel like, different subjects that kind of bounce around a bit. And I realized that you can be reborn, which is, of course, one of the lines in it. It's really what this is all about. June is an awakening. June is stepping forward into our newer selves. It's a big, big month. And it's so important for us to latch onto that, and to get serious in a way. I like to laugh. I like to joke. All those who know me know that. But at the same time, I'm a very serious person in that, I can be too serious. I can take things too seriously. I can be a real stick in the mud sometimes. But I also see things on a serious level. My Mercury is in Scorpio. So I like to go to the depths, and I see the depths very clearly. So they kicked this reading off really talking about the foundations that we've been laying. And if you have been listening to this podcast, you know that for months they've been talking about foundations, about how important they are so that we can maintain in these times, so that we can stand up, stand tall, so that we can enjoy ourselves in the midst of these times. Because there are so many reasons for us to be super serious and to forget about the joys of being alive. And yet that is what we're meant to do here, is to enjoy ourselves, to enjoy experiences, and to feel all the things. So if you've been listening to this and you are here now, nicely done, because your foundations are being laid. And you may not believe that, or you may know it's true. It doesn't matter. Either way, that is real, and that is for all of us. And I think moving forward, even more so, we must have foundations in place, that proverbial ground for us to stand upon, where we are comfortable, where we can be ourselves from. I thought it was interesting that they referenced mirrors again this month, from last month's reading. There are mirrors lit upon the directions that you go, the light that shines so bright for you, that tells you things over and over, yet you look away. Did you look at yourself in the mirror in May? Did you face the things that came up for you? The uncomfortable emotions, the sad things, the difficult things that are happening in the world at large. Did you face them, or did you look away? Good questions to ask, right? And no judgment, no shame, okay? Just answer that for yourself. I know that I faced some. I know that I looked away from others. And that is all okay. But things are moving forward now, right? And a lot is happening. And like they say, causing you to want to leave, to get out, to run, to feign indifference, to pretend it all isn't happening, but it is. And the sooner you come to that realization, the better. We can run all we want from what is happening on planet Earth right now, but it is what is happening. And like I mentioned before, what we most need right now are solutions, not more polarizing ideas of I'm right, you're wrong, this party is wrong, this party is right. All of that wastes our time. It takes away from our ability to create. And when we can create, we can think of solutions. We can think of things that we never thought about before. But first, we do have to accept what is And what is really tough right now, right? There's a lot of intensity happening on this planet. And that intensity is a mirror to what is happening inside of us, right? Do you have emotions, things that you're feeling, maybe past stuff when you were younger, things with your family, things with your relationships? What is coming up for you? What has been coming up for you over the last couple of months? And are you facing it? Are you dealing with it? Are you accepting it, working with it? You know, they spoke about the watery depths, the emotions of all you are. You have ran from them for so long. You looked in other directions, always seeking to find other things, but those things are running out. We have used so many ways to numb ourselves for so long. And I'm with you in this. Again, none of this from a place of judgment by any means. I am here learning with you. And when I say us, or if I'm talking about you, or like I'm talking about all of us, I too numb out. I too get overwhelmed. And sometimes I think it's okay to numb out, you know? But we've got to face facts about what is, about what's happening, what's going on in our life. We've got to deal with those emotions. We can't keep running from them. That's exhausting us, and it's taking away from our ability to show up in these times, to be able to handle them without getting lost in fear and anxiety. I mean, there's like so many articles about what is coming here within the US, and not just within the US, but like worldwide, right? Like starvation and hunger and economic collapse. And I mean, oh my gosh, one thing after another. Those things may or may not come. It is smart to pay attention to what is happening without sticking our head in the mud, but it is not smart to get lost in what is happening around us, okay? We are all waking up right now, and we are waking up to what we have on this planet. We're waking up to the fact that climate change is a real thing. And I don't think it's just man-made. I also think that there are cycles on the earth that take place. It is a combination of many things. And again, it is pointless to waste time pointing fingers. We need solutions. Whether it is climate change, whether it is economic collapse, whether it is the death of politics. Ugh, gross. So many things, they're old, but we need to see it for what it is, you know? And in the midst of that, understand that we are waking up. I don't know how you feel when you wake up in the morning, but for me, it takes a little bit of time, right? Like I feel groggy. I'm usually like, you know, clearing away my eyes and like maybe yawning or like moving and stretching. That's what's happening with us collectively right now. We're waking up and we're like, holy shit. Our planet is like, man, we got a problem over here and a problem over here and a problem over here. And then like more problems are even happening in the midst of that. And we're just like getting so overwhelmed that we're just wanting to shut down. But we can't let that, right? And they're direct with us. They do not try to sugarcoat things in this reading. This year is breaking open as it moves forward. And they say, prepare yourself for the days ahead. But they also say, all that is happening, all that is taking place right now is just taking place. Do not think any more of it or any less. Do not allow yourself to become encumbered by it. Call yourself forward on a path that is your own. Like we say here on this podcast, right? When you invest in yourself, the world benefits. Invest in yourself. Deal with the emotions that are coming up for you. Work on the familial things that are happening in your life. Try to connect with where you're at and what's going on within you. And if this is complicated for you, if you are unable to stand tall, the Confidence series, my program, could be a great fit for you. Because it will help you to stand tall in these times and help you to have the confidence to do so. Because like they share, you have come here in these times to experience these things because you are worthy. You have gifts. You are needed. If you are still on planet Earth, you have a purpose. You are needed. And you can judge yourself all day long, but all that does is distract you from the awesomeness, the beauty, the incredibleness that you are on the inside of you. And the sooner you come to terms with that part of you, the sooner the other things will begin to just fade away. You know, like they say at the very end of this reading, we wait with open hearts. We wait in patience for you to recognize who you are and all that you are capable of. But they also caution, in order to do that, do not allow yourself to get lost in feeling sorry for yourself or your situation. Don't play victim to all of the stories that the worldly voices would like to tell you. Don't play victim. Don't feel sorry for yourself. When we're going through difficult times, it's really important for us to go through those difficult times, to feel them, to work with them. That's the only way that we can heal through them. But at the same time, it's healthy to remember there are other things happening too. There are other things happening to other people. And that doesn't diminish what's happening with us. It doesn't. It's just the truth of it. And sometimes perspective is really good for us. Because I know for myself, oh my gosh, I can weep and wallow and get all lost in my stuff. And then all I have to do is talk to one of my friends who have kids. And I'm like, okay. Hey, all I have to do is deal with myself. At least I'm not also having to raise a human right now. I've got it pretty freaking good, you know, and that doesn't diminish where I'm at, but it does help me to have some healthy perspective. And those are good things, you know. There's so much, I feel like, in the spiritual community that'll be like, no, you know, that's like taking away from what is yours and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, there's some of that. But let's not kid ourselves. Sometimes a good talking to, a good realistic change in perspective is exactly what we need to get ourselves out of the muck that we've allowed ourselves to get into. Sometimes we need that. All in all, I look at this month through this reading as a month of awakening, as a month of us getting really clear with the realities of our world on a personal level, on a collective level. And remembering who we are. Again, because we are moving so fast in these times, being reborn in 1 month absolutely can happen. It can happen in a day. It can happen in a moment. Click, just like that. Or it can take months. Life is not a race, as my stepfather used to always say to me. Life is not a race. Do not compare yourself to others. Wherever you're at on your journey, focus there. Be proud of your little wins. Be proud of the little things that you see yourself doing, the little ways in which you improve. Celebrate them so that you can get more motivated and inspired to keep going. Because let's be honest, it sucks out there right now. It does. And not all the time, but it sucks. It can be really hard. I want to give up too, and I don't mean like completely give up on my life, suicide type things, but sometimes I just want to be like, fuck it, I'm out of here. Going to the mountains, gonna live in a cabin, and I don't know what I would do. I'd be really cool for a hot minute, and then be like, where's the people? I gotta come back. I need my, like... Be proud of yourself, okay? Love, love, love yourself. All right. That is the reading. Again, I would love to hear how it resonated with you. You can hit me up on social media, send me an email. I love to hear from you. It's always so important. So yes, I'm here. Let's dive into some of the astrology. Per usual, my caveat, I am not a professional astrologer. I have been studying it since I was a kid and much more intensely over the last few years, in the midst of it now, but I love astrology. To me, astrology is a science, and it is so practical. It is such a beautiful tool that is very constructive for helping us, and especially in these times. So I will provide a link to the astrology podcast. If you want to dive deeper, I mean, I think they dive in for like 3 hours and really break down like every week and like all the things. That is what my nerdy heart absolutely loves. That's a good resource for you to check out. And there are others out there, you know. I definitely suggest finding an astrologer in these times that you resonate with, and make sure you resonate with them, okay? Doesn't mean you'll agree with everything they say, but you love how they break down the messages, because, you know, they are not all created equally. I had to take a drink of water. Here I am 18 minutes in. Okay. All right. So first of all, of course, we're kicking off this month with the new moon in Gemini, but that happened last day of May. However, it is kind of, you know, that energy is still pervasive as we're opening up this month. So something still to think about. With Gemini, there's chatter, there's conversation, there's it's an air sign, and so there's movement, and we feel a little bit of that movement. But because we are also opening up this month still in the midst of a Mercury retrograde, it's slower, okay? So be kind with yourselves the first part of this month. Mercury does turn direct in Taurus on the 3rd of June, but it's still not out of its shadow period until the 18th. So what that means is things are still going to be very Mercury retrograde-ish up until about the 18th. The energy will start moving after the 3rd, and it will be opening up more, but we're still in that time of review and reconsideration and replaying and all the re's, as I like to say. But doesn't mean that your life stops. It doesn't mean that you have to not make big decisions, anything of that nature. Oftentimes you'll hear within the astrological community, and I even used to, abide by this as well, was that like within Mercury retrograde, you don't want to make any big decisions. You don't want to start any things. You don't want to blah, 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 blah. But that's not the truth. Okay. The truth is that if you want to do those things in the midst of a Mercury retrograde, not a problem. Just really, really, really slow yourself down. Really take a good look at what's going on. Really make sure you review everything that you can about the situation. And if you still feel really good about it, move forward with it. But don't rush. Honestly, it's just a really good lesson for how we should be living our lives, Oftentimes we'll be looking for a vehicle, and we'll go see a dealer, and we'll rush out and we're like, oh, I like this one, I'll just take this, instead of really spending time with that decision. Or sometimes we end up in relationships that way. And so the way that I look at a Mercury retrograde is like just kind of a philosophy for how we should be living our everyday life. Take your time. And as we're moving out of this retrograde period, just take your time, and definitely see if there are things that have come up for you in the midst of the retrograde as well. Things that have come to the surface. They won't really be clarifying for you until the later part of this month. So don't feel the need to understand anything at this time per se. Just give yourself space, be compassionate with yourself, and you might really want to kick off this month moving a lot faster, because I think in some ways May was slower because of the Mercury retrograde, but take your time, okay? Just be kind to yourself. Then on the 4th, Saturn goes retrograde in Aquarius, where it's been hanging out in Aquarius for a while. And it's not going to turn direct until October 22nd, towards the end. Saturn retrogrades, and I would suggest really looking up just Saturn retrograde in Aquarius specifically. There are lots of astrologers out there just doing like mini episodes about this. This is a big one. Saturn is our systems and our structures. Aquarius is about the collective. And so by going backwards, we are reviewing what it is we've done collectively over the past few, year and a half. More so kind of year. We want to think about these things. And also, Saturn is a karmic planet. And so there'll be some karmic things that are coming to the surface, probably a lot of emotions for us to work through. Hey, do we not just hear about that in our reading? Things that are going to be coming up for us, potentially like with our families and whatnot. Just, again, be kind to yourself. Try to take things a bit slower, review these different things. And again, I suggest looking at doing more research specifically with Saturn retrograde in Aquarius. And you can learn some really beautiful things that will help you in these times. Also, take a look at where Saturn is showing up in your natal chart, where it's hanging out. Or not in your natal chart, but like where Saturn is pinging in your chart right now. Like I know for me, Saturn has been in my 7th house for a while, which is like the house of partnerships and those sorts of things. So I have definitely been, reviewing my relationship over the past year a lot, really having a lot of conversations with my partner about what our relationship is, what it looks like, what I want, all of those different things. And that's just, I share that example with you so that you too can just go check it out and see where it's hitting, because that's where it's going to be very personal for you. On June 13th, which is the day that we start the Confidence series, yoo-hoo! Also my father's birthday, which is very cool. Mercury enters Gemini. And so it hasn't completely gotten back out of its shadow, but it enters Gemini, which is where it's going to be hanging out for a bit. Mercury and Gemini together are like, two peas in a pod, to say the least. Gemini is an air sign. It also is all about communication, just like Mercury. And that is because, of course, Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So this is where it's at home. This is where it's happening. This really lends itself to fast movement, fast conversations, fast happenings. So this is really a time to pay attention to what it is that you're saying, to what is being communicated to you. Please be mindful in this time, because it can get moving so fast that, I don't know, you could get yourself in trouble. You can say things you don't mean to. On the upside, like this is a very active, fun transit. And so, this is a great time for socializing and being around people and creating things that are from communication. So like a podcast or doing any writings or things like that. This time is really going to lend itself to that. Then on the 14th, we've got a full moon in Sagittarius, which is really interesting because it's kind of hitting back on the Gemini Sagittarius nodal axis that we transitioned out of last year. So you might really have some things coming up with this full moon. I think this full moon could potentially be a really big one. It's definitely going to be hitting the major places in my chart. If you don't know, I have a 5-sign stellium in Sagittarius in my chart, four. This is going to be a big one. I think it's going to definitely be just kind of bringing up meaning, spiritual expansion, also discussion. Also, it's going to be really interesting because I think that we are going to be really called to consider our place in this world at that time and where it is that we fit in the puzzle, what it is that we are doing for mankind, how it is that we are giving to the collective. And it is, going to be straddling that juxtaposition between like logic and faith, how we reconcile both of those in our lives and how that shows up in our worldly landscape, whether our world is our family, our friends, or potentially we have a platform, whatever the case may be. I'm always happy with full or new moons in Sagittarius because they do make me pretty perky for the most part. But I think this one's definitely going to be a bit more of a heavy one, just because I think that there's going to be a lot of review from the past, 2 years really, when the nodes were in Gemini and Sagittarius. And we were making that transition. Then on the 21st, the sun enters Cancer, and we will be shifting from the heightened, talkative Gemini energy to Cancer, mother, nurturing, love, tenderness. Regardless of how you view that word mother, this would be mother in the description that I think all of us would like to experience mother, right? Family, the heart, things that make us feel secure. You know what I mean? However, that being said, we're going to still be having some signs, Mercury's still going to be in Gemini. There's some other things going on. Jupiter's in Aries right now. There's going to be a lot of intense energy. So I don't think that Cancer season this year is going to be as soft and nurturing. And it might be, it totally might be. It definitely will be gentler than Gemini season, I think. But of course, this is all just overall arching. It really depends on how it will hit your personal chart. Cancer season for me can either be a wonderful time or like a ick. I want to get out of this this particular season time. But I think it goes back to what they mentioned in the reading, the emotions. And Cancer can really, really bring about those emotions, really bring them to the surface. It can also be a time of moodiness and brooding. And so be really cautious about allowing yourself to step into negativity during this time. Honor yourself where you're at, but make sure that you're doing things that can kind of bring you out of that. So like journaling, drive down the road and scream as loud as you possibly can if you need to. Go beat the crap out of something that can take it, that is inanimate, that... a really good one is like maybe taking like a towel and slapping like your bed with it. If you don't have anything, just getting some of that energy out of your body if you are feeling really negative. But again, that emotion is something that we are meant to recognize. So once you do something physical or once you do something like, I would encourage you to get quiet and come internal and ask yourself, what is here for me? What's going on? Why am I so upset? Or why am I feeling sad or grieving? Or, you know what I mean? Like whatever it is that you are feeling, connect with that in the midst. And I guess another thing that I can say about Cancer is that it can kind of bring out the childlike fun in us as well. So Cancer is also often quite seen as like innocent and almost even naive in some ways. So that childlike innocence with our life, how can we tap into that energy, right? On the 22nd of June, Venus enters Gemini. Venus isn't necessarily super happy in Gemini. They're really kind of about very opposite things, yet there is a little bit of togetherness there. So Gemini is much colder then it's logic, it's reasoning, it's intellectual stimulation. And Venus, of course, is love and you know what I mean? So I'm sure you can see. If you are single, this could be a great time to date, though, because it is Venus and Gemini, and that'll really help to make those communications flow easier. And if you're in a relationship, this could be a great time to really talk about things and to get real about things without all of that emotion, you know? And then finally, I guess almost on the 28th of June it's going to be a big sort of ending to the month. We've got a new moon in Cancer, and Neptune is going retrograde in Pisces. So new moon in Cancer is always an emotional one for me, like always, always, always. And of course, Cancer being related to family, home, these sorts of things. This is going to be a good time to think about those areas of your life that Cancer rules. You know, what are some good seeds to plant in this new moon, you know, that would be helpful for maybe nurturing yourself. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be connected to a family, but ways in which you can show up for yourself, you know, practice self-love, compassion for yourself, or yes, within your family, you know, potentially within your children, your relationships, anything of that nature. It's a great time. But also just being aware that Neptune's going retrograde in Pisces, and Neptune, if you didn't listen to the midlife crises or the midlife transits, a discussion that I had with Katie Emma a couple episodes, highly recommend. We talked about Neptune and Pisces, and yeah, it's a murky, watery one. And so I am expecting with this, you know, the combination of the new moon in Cancer with Neptune going retrograde in Pisces, a lot of emotional release. And it might be a really good day to like set yourself aside, you know, maybe put it on your calendar to maybe take the day off or take the next day off, or however your life works, or what might be good for you, because a lot of things might be coming up during this time. Neptune's going to be retrograde for 5 months, and you know, Neptune retrogrades can really be a very sensitive time. It can also be a time where we can really, because Neptune is murky, and that is literally how I describe Neptune. Neptune is spirituality. It is a lot of really beautiful things, but you know, in the midst of spirituality, we can get really lost. It's that murkiness that I always associate with Neptune. And then Pisces, I mean, are you freaking kidding me? There's not a sign that is as murky as Pisces. So the fact these two are together in the midst of this retrograde, it's going to be really important for us to have solid, firm ground to stand on, and to double check the things that are coming into our space, our world. Everything from communication to actions to things that people are doing around us, to us, you know, just double check, because in the midst of this murkiness, we may not see things clearly, and we can get ourselves in trouble, you know. It's just important to kind of, similar to like a Mercury retrograde, like double check, right? Slow down, slow down, because Neptune transit can be really humbling. I'm in the midst of my Neptune squared Neptune, which is a midlife transit. And let me tell you, some days it's like I can't see clearly. I can't think clearly. It is maddening. And, but it definitely requires us to go internal in those times. And that's how we can really treat it. You know, my big words of caution would be to not get lost there. Laugh, 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 laugh. Please, as much as possible, in any way that you can. Doesn't matter what makes you laugh. Please laugh. please do your best, I think, in this month overall to stay light wherever possible, to do things that really light you on fire, that bring you joy, that bring you back to yourself, be around animals. I mean, that is my suggestion always. For me, animals, like I take one look at them and they are love, pure and simple. I have squirrel and bird friends that hang out with me on my back porch, my back stoop, I should say. And it's been really cool because my partner has even gotten to know them and loves them. And animals are the best of us as far as I'm concerned. But anything that brings you back center home, that is what I recommend in these times. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I'm excited for June. I'm excited for what's ahead. And again, if you are interested in the Confidence series, remember registration doesn't close till the 9th, so there is more time for you to join. Feel free to contact me with any questions. If you're feeling lost in your life and you are needing some direction, book an Akashic soul reading with me. I mean, my clients, we do beautiful, serious work, and it can really be a life-changing experience for you. But if you just have a question or whatever the case may be, don't hesitate to reach out. We need each other in these times, and I'm here for you as much as I can be. So again, I just want to say thank you so much for hanging out. If you were inspired by today's episode, please share with a friend, someone that could benefit from it. Leave us a review on iTunes and Spotify, and make sure to subscribe. Don't forget to sign up for my email list. I share things there I don't share anywhere else. And don't forget, when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits. Until next week.